To go. All right, recording 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to the Gonzo Experience Podcast. I am David Gonzo Bomano, your host, and every week I'm trying to bring you just like these really great people that somehow the universe, God, brings to me as new friends, where they can share their entrepreneurial journey and their experience and their lessons learned, their highs and lows, and everywhere in between. And today, I don't even know how we met, but I am so glad that we've met because we've become instant friends. My guest today she's got a great name, and I'm going to have her say it even better than me because she's got that great accent to it. But it's Renata Calderaro. Renata, well, first of all, Renata, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on the show. I really love being able to just share this moment right now with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, I love your energy. I love your smile. I see you on Facebook, and I think that's why I reached out to you because you're doing like a lot of your videos are in Spanish, and frankly, I've been spoken Spanish since high school in my classes, and I can't really understand what you're saying, but I feel your energy, right? I mean, you're just so full of passion and life. I can tell you're saying good things. So. And so wanted to reach out to you being a podcast, and I appreciate that. But first and foremost, with you're beautiful, the way you say it, say your full name for me.
Thank you. Renata Calderaro.
Isn't that great? That's beautiful. Thank you.
We'll have a lesson, everyone can sign up so that they can learn how to say it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you record her name and say it right to me, we'll give you a free copy of my book or something, right?
I like that.
So Renata, you are you're a great entrepreneur. I do know that we know a lot of the same people, and a lot of them are from EO Entrepreneurs Organization. I know that you've done a lot with that, and I was in EO for about 14 years myself. So first and foremost, you are an entrepreneur who has created a beautiful life for yourself through just creating the freedom to, and as we're going to find out in your story, to live where you want to live and to just, really do the things that make you happy, bring you joy, give you energy to be your best. And so that's, I think, what I really want to cover a lot of today. But as far as your business, you are an American lawyer. You are a great businesswoman. You're an international speaker. You have successfully helped hundreds of foreign entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, professionals, artists, athletes, and you've helped them maximize their business opportunities in the United States and other markets as well. You also, one of your highlights is that you are an immigration lawyer, and you've been doing this for over 19 years, which means
20 years now.
20 years. So you started when you were 7. That's fantastic. And so you're truly helping a lot of people, right? So give us the story of, how did you get started in this business? Tell me about your journey, the highs and lows, and then we definitely want to get you to share some nuggets as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's interesting. A lot of times I get to hear, one of the things that I love about the work that I do is that I get to hear these stories from our clients. And they're always so inspiring because they're taking action, and because even though there are challenges in front of them, they're saying, no, this is my goal and this is where I'm going to go. So thanks for the opportunity to just, talk a little bit, like in a step back. It's interesting. Probably a couple of months ago now, I started working on a family tree. And just like your family, my family's from Italy. My dad's Italian, my mom's Bolivian. I was born in Bolivia. And it's interesting to see now how our families have added so much to our life in terms of making decisions of what we're going to do. And so when I went to law school, I really never even considered being an immigration attorney, because for the most part, immigration attorneys in South Florida had, a hole in the wall office and, probably a bad neighborhood. And it was not something that I had even considered. And yet, as soon as I graduated, I thought, okay, so what, one of the things that I wanted was, my luxury, which I guess goes to, and I think EO helps us in thinking about this a lot, right? Like design the life that you want, right? Like really design it the way that you want it. And I remember thinking at that point, I really just want my job to be fairly close to my home. And I was living in Aventura in Florida, South Florida, and there weren't a lot of law firms in the area, but there was one that I found, and they didn't have a job posting, they didn't have anything. But I said, you know what? I like their profile. I like what they're doing. And so I sent in a letter and I said, I'm interested in working with you. And I sent them my resume. And sure enough, they called me the next day and they said, well, come on in. We do, and they had a position that could, they pretty much they created this position, but the department, I guess, that called me was doing business immigration. And so I sat in the lobby waiting for the interview, and I saw the people that were coming in for their meetings. And I thought, well, this is really interesting, because I could tell that there were people just like what we're talking about, right? People who wanted to do more, wanted to continue growing, who wanted to, whether it was to expand their business, but you could tell that they were doing something to move forward in their life. And so I interviewed with the partners, and I had no idea what immigration was, but I just liked them. And my rationale was, well, I'm graduating from law school and I'm probably going to spend more time in the office than anywhere else. I might as well like the people. And if I don't like what I'm doing, then I can always change what I do, right? If I don't like this in a year, I'll go to corporate law, I'll go to something else. And it was just amazing. I just completely fell in love with immigration and with the people that were making these changes in their lives. And the reason that I brought up my family tree is because then, in the last few months that I've actually taken the time to start working on my family tree, I see how my family has really come from all over the world, right? So my nona, my grandmother on my dad's side, had just had her second baby. No, I'm sorry, her third. Now I have to go back to but either way, second or third baby, and was traveling right after World War II from Italy to Argentina. My grandfather had already gone to Argentina to wait for her so that he could have a house and everything else ready for her and the family. But imagine, right? Like pretty much going from one continent to another all by yourself with 3 babies. And, my dad at the time, I think, was 3. So it's interesting to see how all of that, I don't know, in some way, in some magical way, I think really, helps you do the things that you're doing now. And so that's part of, so I think that that's part of the story. And so I think it's really worthwhile to look back and see kind of like where our ancestors have been and how they have influenced what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like you have a pioneering spirit, right? That stems from your ancestors, right? To think about what
Right.
they did, and especially back then, how difficult was that, right? I mean, we hop on a plane, we're overseas in hours, right? But the fact that she did that with 3, you said 3 kids, right? So
Yeah,
definitely a
I mean,
sense of adventure, a sense of, like I said, being pioneering, but really a sense of wanting to live the life that she dreamed of, right?
right.
Living life on her, on her terms, on your family's terms, right? And so then you don't have to really look far to see like where you got yours from, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, and on my mom's side as well, I mean, it's just amazing to see how my grandmother, and again, everything relating to immigration. At one point, she didn't have to work, but she had her kids that were fairly young, but she just felt like she wanted to do something outside of the home. And this in Bolivia, in the early, probably like 30s, 40s, she decided, I guess 40s, she decided to go out and work outside of the home. And her job, Dave, was with the U.S. Embassy in La Paz, right? And she retired from there, right? So she was there for several decades, retired from there. Someone who was never late, who, if you said, can you please, here's $5. I know you're going to the supermarket. Can you get me, I don't know, some oranges? She would come back with the oranges. And if there was 1 penny that she had to give you back, she would give you back the penny, right? I mean, just completely, very straightforward. So yes, absolutely. Just looking back at, all the people, like I said, that have supported us to, to really be the person that we are today, right? And that applies to all of us. And to be able to overcome, you mentioned challenges, and I think that, I mean, every day comes with challenges, every single day. And it really depends on how we define that challenge, right? Is that going to be something that's stronger than us? Or are we going to take it as something that's going to teach us something so that we can become a better version of ourselves? And I think that if we see that, I can put that in words now, but I can tell you that that's really how I was brought up and how I dealt with everything in life. I remember in law school, I was working for a British bank for Standard Chartered, and I was taking the train back from the office to the campus. And there was someone there who was asking for change, right? And I literally had to look at them and say, wow, I don't even have $1 right now to give you, because I literally had, just the amount to like pay for my rent and pay for my food that month. Like I really did not even have an extra dollar to give them.
Right to the
And
penny.
I
Yeah.
thought, wow, sorry?
Right to the penny, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to see that, right? But that was never an issue in terms of, oh, is this something that's going to stop me, or is this going to distract me from what I'm doing? I think it's just a matter of really enjoying every day, enjoying what it is that we do. I spoke about, how much I love immigration law, because that became my passion, and that's how the business grew. We're now in 7 different countries. We have our main office in South Florida. From that, I have started 2 other businesses. One that is a consulting firm that works with foreign investors that don't necessarily want to move to the US, but that simply want to diversify and invest. Plus also now we're working with people from the US, getting them second passports, because they either want a plan B, some type of insurance policy, or they want to also explore the rest of the world and potentially have another passport. And then we have a third business that just started. This one started during the pandemic. In fact, just a few short months ago, but we're launching, in fact, the first ebook, and then 2 weeks after that, the second ebook that I'm finalizing the editing part tomorrow, to be able to provide information to even more people, right? I mean, and the whole idea, I think that once, I'm sorry to skip to, to this other point, but going again to challenges, I think that once you figure out what your purpose is, then it's a lot easier to make decisions, and once you figure out what your values are, it's just that much easier, so for me, I realized that the most important thing was to create ways for other people to grow, to really get to the kind of their maximum potential. And so if everything that you're doing is for that, then it just automatically grows.
So if I woke you up in the middle of the night and you were like in a deep sleep, and I like Renata, and I shake you and I wake you up and I say, what is your sole purpose? What are you here for? What's going to come out of your mouth?
Yeah, exactly that. It's like, how do I help other people maximize their potential?
Yeah, I love
and
it.
in every way, right? In business, in their personal life, and whatever it is that
Yeah.
they're seeking. And that's really the driver for everything that we do. That's the purpose also for the 3 organizations. That's how we hire and fire people also in the business. Not just team members, but also clients or vendors, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so it's easier to make decisions that way.
Yeah, it's really, you're such an interesting person because, you have 3 businesses. You're really successful. You didn't even mention yet that, we talk about that you're in South Florida, but really you've been living lately in Ecuador with your 3 kids because, damn it, that's what you wanted to do, right? And in today's world, you could work anywhere, right? Or on Zoom. We're having a great interview, and you're in Ecuador right now. And before we hit record, you took your laptop out on the back patio, and I got this gorgeous view of the town you're in and the mountain behind it. But you're so calm. You're so calm and cool. So you're like this. I think your new business title should be like calming force of nature, right? I mean, it's like, like you're powerful, but you're calm. It's a great way to be. And so I would imagine that a lot of people you are working with, they could be nervous about a couple things, right? New countries, different customs, et cetera, different cultures. But with your personality, you're able to not only navigate the whole legal side of it, but you're able to also put them at ease with your calm personality and just try to help them out with the intricacies of either moving to and or doing business in other countries, right?
Yeah. No, and thank you, Dave. Yeah, it's it's like I said, it's really it's humbling, right? When somebody's coming to you and saying, "I'm going to change my life. I'm going to move to another country," and in a way, that's how this whole adventure started, of living in different countries, right? So I'm in my 4th country right now, and my kids are in their 3rd country, and it's fun. It's fun to be able to make those decisions. we have a huge blessing right now, right, with technology. But once the pandemic started and everybody started talking about Zoom and doing business in a different way, and I was thinking, I've been doing this for the last, 5+ years. I personally have not touched a legal file in over 6 years, right? An amazing team that does that. And I always tell them, they're the ones that create the magic and that make things happen. But yeah, if we can, you said something earlier, right? Like living life in your own terms. And unfortunately, a lot of times we believe the limits that society places. And I remember my mom years ago said, why don't, she knew that I always had the desire to return to South America, even if it was for a short period of time. And she said, well, why don't you do it? And I thought at the time I had just graduated from law school. So I had a job, right? So it wasn't my business yet. I had a mortgage. I still had my student loans, right? Like there were all sorts of things. I think I had just had my firstborn, and I thought, Mom, you're absolutely crazy, right? Like, what are you even thinking? What do you mean, like, move overseas right now with all these responsibilities, etc.? And then years later, I realized, wow, yeah, it is possible. Like literally anything that you can think of is truly possible. So I initially moved to Panama with my kids. My kids wanted to kill me, Dave, because it was summertime in Florida, but in Panama, their school year starts in March. So in June, July that we were in Panama, they were in school, and I thought this is a great opportunity for them to really be bilingual. I had never even been to Panama. I literally just picked up and I said, okay, this is where we're going to go. It also made sense for my business. So everything I do, obviously, like it has to make sense for all parts of, that we're doing. And so I said, okay, so we're going to head there. And it was a beautiful experience. After the third day, my kids were loving it. They enjoyed meeting new friends at school. They were at school, but they didn't have the responsibility of doing homework, right? So they were just there in the morning. In the afternoon, so I would work in the morning. I would then pick them up after school, and then we would go and we would explore Panama, and it was wonderful. And then we went back to Fort Lauderdale, which is where the office was at the time. And I realized during that trip to Panama what all of the bottlenecks were. And primarily the main bottleneck was me, right? Because everything had to start and end with whatever I indicated should be done with a case, with a client, with a process, etc. And so for those who are either starting or growing their businesses, I think that the two major things that really helped the growth of my businesses were, one, really identifying your values, because that's how you build your team. And if everyone in your team just naturally aligns with your values, then everything just runs much more smoothly. And then the second thing is having processes, right? Because once I returned to the US from Panama, I started working on processes, and it was a pain. It was a huge pain. And especially because then you're thinking, okay, where do I even start, et cetera? And it doesn't matter. Just get started, right? Just start doing it. Pick a position, the receptionist, right? Like, how is she going to answer the phone? What is she going to do when she has a message for someone, et cetera? So if everything is set out, then you can really grow the business in a way where it also allows for more freedom for you. To create more businesses, right? Not to go to the beach, to create digital businesses or product lines or whatever it is that you're doing. But it was great to be able to have that opportunity in Panama, go back, and then I had the opportunity to move to South America, to Ecuador in particular, and just because I really felt at home. I really just felt at home, and I said, okay, let's give it a try. My kids were all for. I mean, at that point, they realized that they could really live anywhere, and now my kids don't even want to leave. It's like they're loving it, and so it's been a lot of fun. You see them grow in a different way, and who knows, right? Maybe next year I'm in Italy, or maybe I'm or we return to the U.S. I'm in the U.S. Probably as much as I was before I left, just because I traveled so much that in any given year, I was probably out of the United States for at least 6 months a year. So that wasn't an issue. And I think most clients, most people, they don't really care where you are, as long as the work and the result is what they're looking for.
Yep. You right now you could be in Miami. I wouldn't even know. Right. So, yep. So just, curious question with everything going on in the US right now, right? It seems like such a hot mess, so many different, crazy things going on. But not being in the U.S., what do you miss about the
Yeah.
U.S. when you're in Ecuador, and what do you not miss?
Wow. I think I live in a bubble. In general, I remember in law school, someone said, "Oh my goodness, you always see things through rose-colored glasses." So there's really nothing that I miss, because I think that I enjoy everything that I think that if you live in the moment, right, like you're present, then it's hard to say, "Oh, I miss this," right? Like, "Oh, I have nostalgia for this." Well, no, like that was then, and right now, this is where I am. This is what I have. Um, yeah, I can't really say that I necessarily miss anything in particular, because also I travel quite a bit to the
Yeah.
U.S., so I spend a lot of time in the U.S. as well, and I have the office there, etc.
Yeah.
The reason I say I live in a bubble, and I think that we all live in our own bubble, right, is because um, I'm connected to my client. Like pretty much the work that I'm doing is the exact same thing that I would be doing in the office in the U.S., right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it doesn't really matter where that office is. That I get to really do the things that I love anyway, right? I'm still in touch with my team, with our clients, with our friends. Um, Ecuador has actually given me the gift of connecting me even more, even with friends from the US, because once they come to visit, we really bond so much more. And we get to explore Ecuador, we get to go to the Galapagos or to the Amazons or to the beaches or whatever it is, and really explore. And it's a different, I don't know, it's just a different, I don't know, maybe just a different opportunity to be able to get to know each other, right? Like friends that were very good friends, or other friends who maybe just, were more acquaintances, and then
Yeah.
they visited. So that's a really hard question. So no, I can't say that I think the point of all of this is really, how can we just enjoy wherever it is that we are,
Yeah.
and then create our next, the next chapter.
Sure. Well, that was a great answer to a hard question. And Renata, that's why I get paid the big bucks, because I ask the tough questions. So no, well, I know I've been to Sicily for extended period of time. And what I love about going there is time just slows down, right? Just the energy is more of a day to day, people just taking time to just talk, sit, eat, do nothing a little bit more, which, you know, coming from America, the first week I'm kind of like, oh my, it's tough to slow down, but then you get into it, right? Then you're like, oh, this is nice, right? And then I come back to America and I'm a little depressed, because I'm like, you hit the ground running again. You're like, I miss having the aperitivo in the middle of the afternoon. That was nice,
Yeah. And right, and it's enjoying. So it took me more than a week to get used to that. I think it took me, probably 2 years to get used to that,
Yeah.
at least, because my hours are crazy, right? I usually work from 7 until at least 8, but I used to work from 8 until 11, right? So there's been an improvement there, right, in terms of
Right.
fewer hours that I work. But you're right, you do enjoy things more. And I think that this is why also I'm getting a lot of calls from people in the US who are looking to move elsewhere. We had a call with an IP attorney last week, and he said, look, this is, it's all great, etc., but we want to be able to have the experience of living overseas, and we want to go somewhere for a few months and then make a decision if we want to move there. We have another person who is looking at actually also Ecuador and Costa Rica as options of where they may want to live with their family. This is a younger family, so they have smaller kids. So I think it all boils down to, what is it that we truly want, rather than going through the motions, right? It's like you graduate from high school, graduate from college, if you're going to get some type of, go to grad school, get married, have kids, etc. And then it's like, but what are you rushing for, right? And that was my life before. I think in many ways, I think I justified my life by working so much, right? It's like the more I work, the more I do, etc. And then once you start slowing down, you actually become more productive and more effective in the things that you do.
Yeah.
So So it's all a matter, I think, of just really, stepping back a little bit and having that mindset.
Well, I think what you're saying too is having the courage, right? Because a lot of people will have the vision of what they want to do. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to live in South America, yeah, or Italy or France or wherever, right? And work from anywhere. But very few people do it, right? Like, look, I mean, you're living the dream, but it also took courage and as our friend Natalia Berdikian would say, not only courage but fearlessness, just like not having fear about it, right? And just going for it. So I'm really glad I met you. I mean, so much respect and just proud of you as a new friend that you not only had the vision for who and where and what you wanted to be, but you had the courage and the drive to make it happen. Because very few people
The
actually,
audacity.
yeah, the audacity, exactly. Um, it's good. It's good to be audacity and bold, right? So yeah, but you're gonna look back and I interviewed. You may have heard of Ed Milet. He's a very successful business person, and I had him on my podcast. And he said one of the best things ever. He said that when he dies and goes to heaven, and he imagines that he's going to sit down with God, and God is going to introduce him to this other man, and it's him as far as like who he could have been, like if he had maxed out his life like that.
Oh,
That
wow.
right. And his dream is like he is the same guy, right? Like it's
I
like he's
love
like,
it.
I
I love
did it,
it.
and I thought, what a great dream, what a great thought. And then also too, what a horrible thought if you did not become that person, or if you
Right. Right.
what if you
Exactly.
didn't become like close to that person? I mean, like,
I think that's my biggest fear.
yeah, like I could have been that person and I didn't do it. It makes me sick to think about it. So, you've inspired me to re-envision my life and just go for it. So thank you, Renata. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, can I tell you something though?
Please.
Because I don't know, it's like the irony of life, right? That I know that in many ways I am still playing small. And so
Mhm.
thank you for sharing what you just said, because I think that we always need that, this is why it's so important, right? To have the interaction, to be with people that are, that are even greater thinkers than we are. So thank you, Dave, because, you're giving me this gift right now of saying, okay, yes, you've done this, but there's still so much more. And I think that that really is the biggest fear, right? Is to play small. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, we really only have a few decades here. So
Yeah.
why not just, fully go for it? I mean, what's really the worst thing that can happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right?
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know that I'll try food based on that.
No, don't try food, right? Yeah, yeah, I know. They say if it scares you, that's a good thing, right? But you want to also use your common sense, right? So,
Yes. Always. Yes. Yes.
so now I got some fun questions. Favorite book?
Favorite book? Oh, Paula. Isabel Allende is a writer from Chile,
Hmm.
and she wrote a book about her daughter when her daughter was dying, and it's a beautiful story. It's sad, but I think it goes to this point, right? It's like really like just absolutely live and love to the fullest at all times, because you don't know when that next moment is that we might be somewhere else. But
It's called
and
Paula.
I love her.
The book is called
Yeah,
Paula.
Isabel Allende. She lives in California now. Yeah,
Oh, wow. Oh,
Isabel
interesting.
Allende.
All right. Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
great author. Great author.
I appreciate that. Um, Tell me what Renata is doing in 10 years.
Oh wow. Um, so I will continue traveling the world. I will continue trying new foods from different places.
Mhm.
I will be very proud of my kids in terms of what they're doing, um, and just really, watching them grow and enjoy life. I'm the way that I parent is that I think that my role is to give them tools and show them how to use those tools. And then it's up to them, right? Like what it is that they're going to do. So I think I'm going to really be enjoying what they're going to be doing in 10 years. And then continuing to see my team grow, and just continuing to see how the leadership team continues to grow through, everyone that's growing within the organization. So continuing to make an impact, but definitely traveling a lot.
Sense of adventure will not slow down, right? So yeah.
Never.
So one more fun question: if you could go back in time and spend some time with somebody who has passed away, not related to you, and it could be anytime. It could be, but someone who has passed away, and you could go back and spend some time with them, but no blood relation. Who would that be?
Okay. Yeah. Jesus. I would really love to see his life. I would really love to just, be there and hear what he says. And, whether you believe that he is the Son of God or not, whatever your belief is, even if you just see him as an amazing business leader, right? Who created this leadership team of 12 disciples who then, and he said, okay, go out and create this, amazing, if you want to look at it as an organization, whatever it is, right? But just someone who has completely changed the world, right? How people think, what they do, how they do it. I would love to be able to see him speak and hear how he interacts with others.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing the way you just put that, because when you do think about it, when you said business, and maybe the better word is, like you said, organization. But what other organization, it's been over 2,000 years, right? That I believe is it the biggest religion in the world, right? I mean, it's still so strong. So it isn't from one man, 2,000 years later, we're still talking about him. So
yeah.
I had a good friend, we were just talking, and I asked him the same question: where would you go in time if you could go back in time? And he not only said Jesus, he said that he wanted to be in the stable when Mary was giving birth, and he wanted to be there and be like, push, Mary, push, And I was like, wow, that's really intimate, So, yeah. So great answers. Thank you for sharing. I do appreciate it. Renata, this has been such a pleasure. Like I said, I love your energy. I think we are kindred spirits, putting a lot of ourselves into the world. I know that I'm full of joy and kindness and love, and I feel like you are too. And so I'm glad we met. You keep on doing what you're doing, because you're making a big difference in the world. And very glad we met, and just glad you were born. And I look forward to a continued friendship for years to come.
Same here, Dave. Thank you. I really appreciate being on. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep in good touch, and maybe we'll have you on again and follow your path.
Yes, and you all are invited to visit wherever I am at that point.
All right. Yeah. Where in the world
Florida.
is Renata, right? I love it.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Renata. And I also want to thank you, Gonzo family, for listening to this podcast. Really appreciate you sharing some heartbeats with us today. We're here every Wednesday morning, brand new episode. Please do me the favor of downloading, subscribing, so you get the notification and you could hear great new guests that I have on the show every Wednesday morning. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day, and make sure to stay awesome.